Here's your wrestling news for February 10th, 2026. Your headlines for today include full breakdown of when and how Bron Breakker suffered his hernia, backstage update on Bron Breakker's WrestleMania 42 availability, LA Knight lands in hot water again after controversial remarks, fans dig up LA Knight's past after latest statement, Oba Femi declared free agent, is WWE planning something bigger? 2 major reasons AJ Lee vs Becky Lynch was moved to Chamber revealed, shocking interference hands LA Knight RAW main event win, is WWE sacrificing a former Universal Champion for CM Punk and Roman Reigns, major botch on RAW, Dominik Mysterio's role questioned, and more. Bron Breakker's road to WrestleMania 42 has just hit an unexpected speed bump, but WWE isn't shutting the door on him just yet. Last night's Raw saw the company's longtime mouthpiece and color commentator Michael Cole announce that the star was injured in training and that he would be out indefinitely. According to Fightful Select, despite undergoing hernia surgery, there is internal optimism that Breakker could still be medically cleared in time for WWE's biggest event of the year. While nothing is guaranteed, the belief backstage is that his WrestleMania status hasn't completely been ruled out. According to PW Insider, the hernia that sent Breakker to surgery was not a sudden injury caused solely by his most recent Raw appearance. Instead, the issue had been lingering prior to last week's show. Breakker's situation worsened during his explosive table flipping segment on the January 29th episode of Raw. What looked like a chaotic outburst on television apparently came at a real physical cost. The word making the way around Raw is that Bron Breakker's hernia was an issue that had been ongoing prior to last week's Raw, but the determination was made that surgery was needed after his Raw appearance. We are told that Breakker is officially off the road while he recovers. There is currently no timetable for his return at the moment. PW Insider further noted that Breakker continued pushing through the discomfort during the segment, earning praise backstage for powering through before the full extent of the injury was known. Now the focus shifts entirely to recovery. With WrestleMania 42 fast approaching, WWE appears to be leaving creative flexibility in place in case Breakker is cleared in time. If the recovery window lines up, he could still factor into the card in Las Vegas. The question now becomes simple: does Breakker beat the clock, or will WWE be forced to pivot away from whatever plans they had in motion? LA Knight's Royal Rumble return was supposed to shift the focus back to his in-ring direction, but instead the conversation online has turned political. Knight made his comeback at the Royal Rumble in Riyadh after being absent from WWE television for nearly a month. He was quickly placed into a storyline involving Bronson Reed, who had previously written him off TV. While fans were waiting to see how WWE would book him heading toward WrestleMania season, an Instagram repost stirred unexpected controversy. LA Knight made some controversial statements about US President Donald Trump, and apparently that's gone viral in the wrestling world. Unsurprisingly, it didn't take long for social media users to resurface an old chapter from Knight's pre-WWE career. Before signing with WWE, Knight briefly portrayed El Hijo de Trump, a tongue-in-cheek character presented as Donald Trump's illegitimate son. During that run, he wrestled in a wig and even shared a ring with Blue Demon Jr. Some wrestling pundits began predicting that Knight could face internal heat, especially given WWE's past emphasis on keeping political matters separate from on-screen presentation. Reports circulating online have even claimed that he was summoned for a discussion with management, though no official confirmation was provided. The speculation also ties into the fact that WWE has previously advised talent to be mindful of political commentary. In August 2025, talent were reportedly reminded to avoid or approach sensitive topics with diplomacy. Additionally, Triple H currently serves on the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition, which is only added to the online narrative, though there is no verified indication that this situation has escalated beyond internet discussion. As of now, Knight remains featured on WWE programming, and there's been no public statement from the company suggesting disciplinary action. Whether this becomes a bigger issue or simply fades as social media noise remains to be seen. For now, all eyes are back on how LA Knight is booked on television in the weeks ahead. Oba Femi's Royal Rumble performance in Riyadh didn't just turn heads, it may have quietly set the stage for a major roster shift. Entering at number 1, Femi delivered one of the most dominant showings of the match. For a debut Rumble performance, it was the kind of performance designed to make a statement. Since then, Femi has appeared on both Raw and SmackDown after relinquishing the NXT Championship, immediately fueling speculation that his main roster call-up is not just temporary. Now there's an even more interesting development. WWE's official roster page currently lists Oba Femi as a free agent. That might not sound unusual at first until you look at who else is in that category. The only other names listed as free agents are Brock Lesnar and Omos, both of whom have carried that designation for quite some time. Femi being placed in that same category is notable. Typically, when NXT talent begins appearing on Raw and SmackDown, WWE continues to list them under the NXT roster until a permanent brand assignment is announced. That's been the company's standard practice, even for wrestlers who float between shows before settling on one brand. In Femi's case, WWE has clearly chosen a different approach. Listing him as a free agent suggests flexibility and possibly leverage. It allows him to appear on either brand without committing him immediately, while also signaling that creative likely sees him as more than just a standard call-up. It feels intentional. After a Rumble performance like that, and with his official NXT chapter seemingly closed, the question isn't whether Oba Femi is headed for the main roster, it's where he lands, and who stands in his way first. Enjoying the video? A quick like goes a long way in helping us grow and deliver more wrestling news you care about. AJ Lee is officially back, and she didn't waste a second making her presence felt. On the latest episode of Raw, Lee made her long-awaited return to a thunderous reaction from the live crowd. She came face-to-face with Becky Lynch and immediately brought up their shared history, reminding everyone that she once defeated the man at WrestlePalooza. The confrontation quickly escalated, with Lee throwing down the challenge for a match at WrestleMania 42, but instead of accepting on the spot, Lynch declined the Mania proposal. A visibly frustrated Becky then pivoted, agreeing instead to defend her Women's Intercontinental Championship against Lee at Elimination Chamber in Chicago. That detail is key. Elimination Chamber 2026 takes place at the United Center in Chicago, the hometown of both CM Punk and AJ Lee. From a booking standpoint, WWE may see value in giving the hometown crowd a major title match rather than waiting until WrestleMania in Las Vegas. However, that doesn't necessarily mean WrestleMania is off the table. There is a strong logic behind running the title match at Chamber first. If Lynch retains, especially through controversial means or questionable tactics, it would naturally set up a bigger, higher stakes rematch at WrestleMania 42. A disputed finish, interference, or even a non-decisive outcome would keep the feud hot heading into April. In that scenario, Elimination Chamber becomes the spark, and WrestleMania becomes the payoff. Now the question is simple: should AJ Lee win the title in Chicago, or should WWE stretch this rivalry to WrestleMania 42 for an even bigger showdown? Later in the show, things escalated quickly. Natalya absolutely dismantled Maxine Dupree in what turned into a chaotic and one-sided beatdown. The match was ultimately thrown out due to a double countout, but that barely mattered. Natty continued punishing Maxine at ringside even after the bell, turning it into a full-blown assault rather than a wrestling match. That's when AJ Lee's music hit. AJ rushed to the ring to make the save, chasing Natalya off and checking on Maxine, but the moment didn't last long. Becky Lynch stormed in and blindsided AJ from behind, laying her out and standing tall to close the segment. With the lines now clearly drawn, the direction seems obvious: Becky and Natalya on one side, AJ Lee and Maxine Dupree on the other. It certainly feels like WWE is building toward a tag team match first, Becky and Natty versus AJ and Maxine, before circling back to the singles showdown between AJ Lee and Becky Lynch. The closing moments of Monday Night Raw delivered a surprise, not because LA Knight won, but because of how he won. The February 9th episode featured a high-stakes triple threat match between LA Knight, Penta, and Austin Theory to determine the second entrant in the men's Elimination Chamber. With Randy Orton already qualified, this was a major opportunity. Adam Pearce had warned the Vision earlier in the night not to interfere, especially after Paul Heyman confirmed Bron Breakker's hernia injury. Still, the faction couldn't stay away. As the Vision attempted to get involved, the situation took an unexpected turn. The same masked figure who attacked Breakker at the Royal Rumble suddenly appeared, and this time targeted Austin Theory. The attack left Theory vulnerable, allowing Knight to hit the BFT and secure the win. Heyman looked stunned as the show went off the air, his group once again outmaneuvered. Based on the body language and presentation, the figure is clearly meant to point towards Seth Rollins, even if someone else is currently under the mask. When the reveal happens, it could set the stage for Rollins to confront the Vision heading into WrestleMania 42. The segment was chaotic, but it advanced the larger storyline while giving Knight a meaningful victory. With 4 Elimination Chamber spots still open, the field is far from set. One will go to either Javon Evans, Gunther, or Intercontinental Champion Dominik Mysterio. Another will be decided in SmackDown in a blockbuster triple threat between Cody Rhodes, Jacob Fatu, and Sami Zayn. Before Michael Cole could conduct his in-ring interview with World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk, Finn Balor interrupted and demanded a rematch with the best in the world for the top prize on the Raw brand, this time in Punk's hometown. The straight-edge superstar made his way to the ring and demanded that Raw General Manager Adam Pearce made the match official. After some hesitation, Pearce finally relented and announced that Punk vs. Balor will take place at Elimination Chamber in Chicago. With that settled, Cole questioned Punk about risking one of the biggest main events in WWE history, his showdown with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 42. Punk responded by saying he shows up to fight anyone, anytime, anywhere, because the fans deserve it. Then he warned Reigns that there's nothing he can do to stop what he's building and promised that at WrestleMania, the ring announcer will declare and still World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk. Now, surely Punk has to win this, right? Because you're still doing Punk vs. Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, but could WWE throw a curveball? And what does this mean for Finn? Another loss? Is that what finally pushes him to turn his back on the Judgment Day? Or could another defeat awaken the demon he's kept buried for so long? In other matches, the Usos defeated the Alpha Academy to retain the titles. However, WWE fans quickly spotted a botch during the match. At one point, Jey Uso went for a super kick but missed it by a mile, as Otis had clearly ducked his head while doing the worm. Jey completely whiffed on the kick. Otis tried to sell it as if it connected, but it didn't look great. Still, a botch is a botch. It happens. Immediately after the match, Byron Saxton entered the ring for a brief interview. Jimmy Uso told Jey that he needs him to qualify for the Elimination Chamber and then go on to win the whole thing. 2026 Royal Rumble winner Liv Morgan, flanked by Intercontinental Champion Dominik Mysterio, made her way to the ring to address the WWE Universe. After being presented with flowers, Morgan proclaimed herself the greatest Royal Rumble winner of all time and began teasing her WrestleMania 42 decision until Stephanie Vaquer's pyro cut her off and the Women's World Champion made her way to the ring. The champion and the potential challenger exchanged insults before Vaquer told Morgan she hopes she chooses her so she could kick her ass. One final jab from the heel ended with a slap to Mysterio's face. This was a pro wrestling segment that could have been an email, or at the very least, a backstage vignette. Very little actually happened. There were a few insults in Spanish and a slap to Mysterio, but nothing that truly sold the audience on a potential showdown between Vaquer and Morgan beyond surface-level tension. For the second straight week, Dominik Mysterio shows up on Raw, and once again, the Intercontinental Championship is basically a prop. Instead of defending the title or even addressing why it hasn't been defended in nearly 2 months, Dirty Dom is out there handing Liv Morgan flowers and chocolates and playing translator for Stephanie Vaquer. That's character work, sure, but where is the championship focus? Then comes the real head-scratcher. In a backstage segment, Dominik casually mentions that he has an Elimination Chamber qualifying match. He hasn't defended the Intercontinental title since last November, he's been sidelined with injury, hasn't had a proper title program, and yet instead of having to prove himself as champion, he's being handed another high-profile opportunity. That's where the logic starts to wobble. In another match, Javon Evans and the original El Grande Americano defeated Bravo and Rayo. Byron Saxton had the opportunity to interview the career killer Gunther, who is coming off 3 incredible wins over the course of 6 months against Goldberg, John Cena, and AJ Styles. Next week, the 2-time World Heavyweight Champion will make his first step toward WrestleMania 42 when he faces Dominik Mysterio and Javon Evans in an Elimination Chamber qualifying match. Before that, Gunther dismissed Saxton as he attempted to talk about Dragon Lee, stating that he couldn't care less. Instead, his focus is clear: qualify for the Elimination Chamber and move one step closer to challenging for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. If he wins next week, he'll join a stacked field that already includes Randy Orton, LA Knight, and either Cody Rhodes, Jacob Fatu, or Sami Zayn. Either way, the remaining spots suggest this could be one of the most loaded Elimination Chambers in WWE history. Big win tonight for Rhea Ripley as she qualifies for the Women's Elimination Chamber match, defeating Lyra Valkyria and Ivy Nile. There was genuinely no real surprise in the winner, but there was a big surprise in the performance of Ivy Nile. No shock if you followed her in NXT, Ivy looked absolutely great tonight. Hopefully, that's something WWE continues to showcase moving forward. However, during the match, when Ripley had Valkyria on her shoulders preparing for a slam, Nile climbed the corner right next to them and was preparing to increase the impact on Valkyria following the landing. But due to miscommunication, Ripley slammed Valkyria even before Nile made contact, leaving an awkward spot during the match. That said, Lyra Valkyria was one of the breakout stars of 2025, especially as part of Unreal, so to see her fading into the background as WrestleMania 42 approaches is a bit disappointing. Due to the volume of news today, we were only able to cover about 90% of Raw. That said, what did you think of the show? Which segment stood out the most for you, and why? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't miss our next video coming at 5:30 p.m. Eastern with all the latest wrestling updates. Smash that bell icon and select all notifications so you're always in the loop.